I'm going to start recording, and I'm going to mute all of you. But whenever you need to unmute yourselves, just go ahead if you have any questions. Okay, so today this is our September office hours for the Americas, so our chapters in North, Central, and South America. For those of you, there's a few of you that are new that at least we haven't met, but maybe you haven't been new directors yet. I'm Candace Dalmania Rouge. I've been on the community team, community manager for the Americas for the past 5 months. Great ride so far. And before that, I have been and continue to be a chapter director in Dayton, Ohio. So love the Startup Grind family, being part of it for the past 3 years. It's amazing. And it's even better now to be on the headquarters team and get to meet so many of you on a regular basis and see all the amazing things that you guys are doing. So first of all, thank you for being here. Thanks for everything that you do month after month to build startup ecosystems and communities where you live. Your work is so important, and we wouldn't be the organization that we are without all of you guys. So thank you from all of us. A brief intro. Bruce, do you want to say hi to everybody? My colleague, Bruce.
Hi, everyone. Excuse the accent. Sadly, I am from South Africa. But nice to see everyone. Nice to meet you all.
And Bruce manages Africa and basically helps with all of the other regions and is our system processes guy. So he's the tech person behind a lot of the Startup Grind community team. All right, so we've got a lot of things to cover. I'll get us started, and then if ever you have a question, just interrupt. You can do the raise your hand thing on Zoom on the side, or just reach out and ask your question. So just to remind everybody about our 2018 year plan, does everyone know where you can find that? On help.startupgrind.com. Does anybody even know that there is a 2018 year plan? Yeah? Nicely done. Okay, cool. If you don't know, I'm going to send you guys the link. But this is where we keep, it's not too prescriptive, and it's not every single month, but from time to time, we do have a theme of the month, whether it's female founders in May, or we do blockchain in August. Some months we don't have any theme, but like September. But next month we have a really big theme coming up we wanted to talk with you guys about, and that's SG300. So basically a few years back, the reason that we started this is that Derek Anderson, our CEO, was really trying to understand what directors like you guys needed and what you wanted. And they did this big survey, big study, and found that the biggest thing that directors wanted to do was help and give back to the Startup Grind community and brand as much as they could. So we created this competition, so to speak, of how can we get hit a target of how many events we have in 1 month. So the first year was, all right, everybody, let's have 150 events this month around the world. And we hit that. And then we said, okay, let's do 200. And we hit that. And then 250. So now we're up in the game, and we're at 300 this year. So please be sure, if you don't have an event scheduled for October, we would love if you had one event. And you can always do more than one if you're feeling super in overachiever mode. That's always great. Yeah, Laurel, you're doing one, or do you have a question?
A question.
Okay.
We are planning to, well, if we can do a co-host an event with another, organization, that would count as a second event, or are we allowed to do that?
What do you mean by co-host? Just like partner together and put something on together with another organization? Yeah, that could work.
Yeah.
That could work as long as it's a true partnership and not like, hey, this is some other organization and Startup Grind's doing all the work.
Okay, exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know. That is just like an addendum, I know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, kind of like with Startup Week. We often partner with Startup Week, where we'll have a Startup Grind event during Startup Week in where I live. That's a good partnership. Or if there's already another organization putting something on and you guys could partner together, that counts too. Yeah.
My understanding from the files I've read on the help is that the test is you have to do the ticketing through Bevy for it to count.
Yeah, that's absolutely right, David. Nice to see you, David, or hear
Yeah,
from you over there in Princeton, New Jersey.
yeah, absolutely. I'm a little under the weather, so I'm hiding my face today, but
No worries. So yeah, great question. How many of you are planning on having an event in October?
I'm doing 2.
Nicely done.
Yeah,
Nice.
we are
So
planning to do 2 events as well.
tomorrow. Awesome, guys. You guys are just going above and beyond. Love it. Okay, so that's October. And then we have a ton of art assets available for that. These are also, anytime you guys ever need to find any information, or if you're wondering where something is, always visit help.startupgrind.com and search. There's so many resources there. And one of the ones that we use the absolute most, and that our directors use the most, is the art assets page. So I just sent that in the chat. Always take a look at that. There's beautiful things, beautiful resources and designs that have been created. Cool. Okay, so what else is coming up this year? In November, we have Global Entrepreneurship Week. So we're trying to push all of our chapters to have their event all during the second week of November. So between November 12th and 18th. Got 2 people coming in right now. Chris and Henry, what's up, guys? So we're just talking about the 2018 year plan. We just talked about Startup Grind 300 and now Global Entrepreneurship Week. So this is just trying to get as many of our events during the week of November 12th through 18th. So if you could try to do that, that would be awesome. And there's art assets for that as well that you can add to your normal designs. We've got 2 regional conferences in November. Unfortunately, none of them are in our region. But if you happen to be in Barcelona or Casablanca in the month of November, great time to go. Fall should be beautiful. You could check out Alex's conference in Barcelona is November 13th and 14th, and Hanane in Casablanca is November 28th through 29th. We've got in December, that's typically our SG end of year party month. That's kind of our theme for the month. Just a way to get your communities to come together, kind of like the summer party, as a way to celebrate all that you guys have done over the past year and celebrate your amazing community. For a lot of startups, because they don't have budget to hold their own Christmas party or holiday party or whatever it is, this can also be a way for you guys to do that. To say like, Startup Grind's throwing your holiday party for you, you know, come out and celebrate with the community that you hold so dear, that kind of thing. So that's coming up. We also have our APEC regional conference, so Asia South Pacific. That is in Melbourne on December 6th and 7th. And then obviously at the beginning of next year, we're putting together the plan for 2019. There probably won't be a theme in January at this point because we'll be in major preparation mode for global. Then we've got the global conference in February, so there won't be a theme for that. But then we'll get started again, you know, March, April timeframe with themes next year. And we will also have a regional conference in our region in Mexico City. I know Pablo's on the line. So Pablo will be putting on a conference either in March or April. It's still TBD. But Pablo, please update us whenever you've got information to share on that. So that's the 2018 year plan. Any questions about that? Beautiful. Okay. So the next thing on the list is Estonia E-Residency. Have any of you checked this out yet or seen the links on Slack or in our previous monthly newsletters or any of that? See some head nods. Yeah, Bruce is like, I know all about it. Okay, so this is a really unique partnership between Startup Grind and the country of Estonia. And right now they're doing some really innovative stuff as a country in terms of how they're working with startups. And so any person, any business, anywhere in the world can create an e-business based out of Estonia. So if you're running a company or any of the startups in your community are running a company that is trying to go after the European market, this could be a great way to be able to do that better because you could set up your operations in Estonia. So one of the things that we're doing right now through this partnership, we're in a trial phase with Estonia, and they're rolling it out through 5 cities right now. It's Seoul in South Korea, Valencia, Barcelona. I'm forgetting the other 2. Milan. And if that's successful with their partnership with Startup Grind, they really want to roll this out in many more cities throughout the year. So what we're trying to do is just push this as much as we can within our local communities. So on the Estonia page, if you guys want to, you know what, I could just share my screen real quick. Why don't I do that? You guys can see my screen over here with Estonia E-Residency, yeah? So you can see their partnership with Startup Grind. They have this video all about like what are the benefits of creating your company in Estonia. And just for you guys, this could be something to share with your chapters at the beginning of the night at your next event, to just say this is another opportunity that our community can take advantage of, or the startups in our communities can take advantage of. So just a heads up on that, all kinds of information here for what the benefits are. Okay. Any questions on Estonia? Apparently they have decent wine, so that should be reason for all of us to at least visit and test it out.
Has anybody done one yet? Is there a testimonial of a company that's already gone through the process and had success, or is it not?
Yeah. Yeah, I do know a couple people in the Startup Grind community have already done it, like Alex Beccardi from Barcelona. He's gotten E-Residency. I think Bruce, we have like between 5 to 10 people that have already signed up for it. In terms of what the effect has been on their company, we would have to get some testimonials from them, but I know that there's a lot of interest in it.
Especially because of Brexit, a lot of UK companies have been signing up for it just so that they can still keep some presence in Europe.
Great.
So, and I mean, it's for any of us. I know a lot of African guys have been interested as well because, if you may not know, Africa can be kind of hostile. So they try and get residency there so they can set up their businesses there just to make things easier. So we've definitely heard a lot of people say great things about it.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question? I read it, but what is the actual cost of incorporation? Is this like a mini incorporation, or is this like the full-blown incorporation that a company can get also with the residency?
I believe it's a mini incorporation.
Okay.
And the actual cost, I'm not sure of. Bruce,
It's a couple of $100. I think it's $250 for the initial application. And then there is a catch. There is, once you actually start declaring dividends from the company, then there's a final fee to the value of, I think it's $1,000 or $2,000, but you do not pay that until you declare dividends.
Okay.
So if you just keep running your company and you keep paying yourself and you don't actually declare anything yet, you don't have to pay that fee. But that's basically how Estonia makes their money out of it. So once the business starts thriving and you want to start taking a bigger piece of that pie, then Estonia gets their little cut as well.
Okay. I believe they have a flat tax anyway, don't they? In Estonia?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Great questions. Okay. So now we're going to talk about our global conference. Who's planning on coming to Global in February? That is awesome. Sweet. Okay. Totally great. Anytime that you guys are looking for information, so you can always find information on the global conference that's available to any person that's looking to attend on the Startup Grind webpage. But specifically for directors, always go to global.startupgrind.com. And that's where we're going to be updating it. I'm going to copy it here. We will be updating this regularly, and it'll be everything that you guys need on where to stay, what's the agenda day by day, what's happening for directors, where to go, what kind of transportation to take, yada, yada, all that great stuff. G is going to be sending out a survey to everybody this week to see who's planning on coming and who's not. So please, that will be coming out separately from G. Please take time to fill out that form. It's a basic form. This will really help us as we start to plan as we're getting closer and closer to global. So keep an eye out for that. And then the startup program, which is a big part of our global conference. And hopefully some of you got the chance to check out the webinar with our colleague Alex, who manages our startup program. That was a couple weeks ago. But we have a ton of information on, again, help.startupgrind.com on the startup program. And this is where you guys can encourage startups from your local communities to apply to exhibit. So this is just a great time for all of us to take advantage of the real power of the global network that we're a part of with Startup Grind. So we just want to make sure that everyone's aware of what opportunities exist, both for you personally and for all of the startups and companies in your region. So just also sent that in the chat as well for you guys to check out. Any questions on global? We will have a competition. So if some of you have definitely been to the global conference in the past, and you know how amazing our t-shirts are that we give out to directors. Hey, Ricardo. Coming in from Santiago, Chile. Nice. So we will be doing a competition with directors this year. We got Chris up in Maryland. What's up, Chris? So keep an eye on that, because then you can enter if you guys submit the winning design or one of the winning designs, you can get up to $500 off of your flight ticket to come. So whether you design it or somebody from your community designs it, we will be rolling out that competition here shortly. Cool.
Are you going to be looking at Rich Foreman's suggestion about doing chapter branded shirts as part of this process?
We are still looking into that, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, so
I can actually chip in on that. We're actually busy negotiating with a couple of providers to actually build kind of our own Startup Grind swag store, where you can basically choose your own design, type in the name of your chapter, and say, I want 20 t-shirts, and in a couple of weeks, it gets delivered to you. We're still negotiating with a couple of partners. It's something that we're kind of hoping to launch at Global, so just keep an eye out, and hopefully we'll be able to organize that, guys, for you guys.
So at Global, meaning we couldn't wear shirts from that process to Global?
If we manage to negotiate and finalize everything before then we'll definitely let you guys know. Because we need to do kind of a dry run with different chapters all around the world. So we want to try some in America, some in South America, some in China, some in Africa, just to kind of test how good the system actually is. And once, hopefully, if all goes to plan, this will be sorted out for the next month or two, and we'll be well ready for Global. But that being said, nothing ever goes to plan, so I don't want to promise anything. But we are working on trying to get that whole process sorted so that hopefully before Global, we can order some cool t-shirts.
Great.
Yeah, I mean, we know that's been a long time request from our chapter director. So really trying to figure out how we could, and just from people that are part of the Startup Grind community, of how to get t-shirts at any time of the year from kind of a swag store. So Bruce has definitely been spearheading that effort. Thank you, Bruce. Okay, so have you guys seen the new location for the art assets? It's no longer on Canva. It's now on a Google template. I'm just going to walk you guys through how to access this for anybody that wants to see how to do that. So let me share my screen here. Okay, so you will come into your slides, and we already have, anytime that you're in Google Slides logged in, remember to be logged in with your Startup Grind account. You just go up into this template gallery. It should be right here, and you can see that there's like the sponsorship decks and some other like flyers that you guys already have access to. But then when you click on the More tab, you can see for Startup Grind Classic chapters, here's different templates that you can use for any types of social media, or flyers or slides during the event. All of this is here that you can update it and make it as beautiful as you want. Here's also the stuff for Global Entrepreneurship Week in November, so just an FYI on that. And then, so the red is always for SG Classic chapters, so for our cities that are larger than 300,000. Blue is our SGU, So those are for our university chapters. And then X and purple, that's for our cities that are smaller than 300,000. So just an FYI, this has changed. All of that is a new location. So I wanted to make sure you guys knew where that was. Okay, any questions before we move on? Okay. So the other thing that we really want to make you guys aware of is how many resources are available on Slack. Who here uses Slack regularly to connect with other directors? Nice. Yes, I recognize some of your names on there, some not so often. Okay, that's great. So I want to share my screen one more time and show you guys. So there are a number, all of the channels on Slack are public, but you may not be subscribed to them or aware of them. And I just want to show some of you how to subscribe to additional channels. So this, if you are in Slack, we are in the Startup Grind community Slack channel. All of the channels, see, I had no idea that we had this many channels. It's sometimes absurd, but they are there. So there's some for like Argentina. Did you guys know that you have a Slack channel just for your country? I'd love to make an Americas one, that we have one just for, all of the Americas. And I will be creating that here today, later, just haven't had time yet. And we'll let you guys know about that. But you basically you go back to channels and you can search here. So channels you can join will be at the top. And then any channels that you belong to will be at the bottom. And all you do is just click on any of these. Like, I don't really want to join test, but let's do it to show. You click on it, join channel, and you're in. I think I'm the only one in here. So just to be aware of that. And then anytime that you guys we really try to post not too many things to the whole group, at channel on a regular basis, maybe like one a day, if that. Big announcements will always be in the announcements tab. Stuff for the global conference, there's different events for that. But another one that I wanted to tell you guys about that's pretty cool is the speakers one. Here we go. So this whole tab of speakers are all of the speakers that have either spoke or are willing to speak at a Startup Grind event. And what they do, and you can see with this person, Harley Finkenstein from Shopify. Hey, Harley. Here are all the different places that they're willing to travel to. Granted, for most of these are in North America, but this is something that you can always check. Are they willing to come to my region and speak to us? Look at this person. This is amazing. They're willing to go to all these places in Europe and APAC. So you can always search directly in the channel. So it'd be in hashtag speakers, and you could look at, say, Colombia. Any of them that are willing to speak in Colombia can, easily pop up. Apparently it's only 2, so sorry about that, Mauro. And I see your hands up. What's up? Talk to us.
Well, maybe this is a dumb question, but I'm not sure. Well, maybe this Gustavo de la Vega, he's willing to travel to Colombia, but at his own expenses, or are the chapter have to cover the travel expenses of this speaker?
We usually try not to. It's up to all of our chapters what they want to do, but for the most part, try to get people to come as much as possible on their own dime.
Okay. Perfect.
Definitely.
Also, often when people mention that they're prepared to travel to those kinds of places, we've seen it often means they travel there regularly, which is also why they said they're happy to speak there. So it might just mean juggling, to find the right month to host them. But often, they recommend that place because they do travel there often.
Great point. The other thing with speakers, now that we're on the topic of speakers, so those are just a few tips for you guys of where to find speakers, maybe to get creative if you're kind of in a rut and are having trouble finding some big names or wanting different people to come speak to your event. Another suggestion that we have is to go to talk with the people around you in your region. And maybe you could reach out, target one speaker in Colombia, like all of the chapters in Colombia, or all of the chapters in Chile, or all of the chapters in the Midwest or something in the US. We talk and we say, we'd really love to get this person here to speak. Let's see if we can have them do a roadshow where they come to us in November, they go to your place in December or whatever, everybody in November, and just kind of hop around and see if you can make it easy for them. Everybody take advantage of it for that speaker. So there's a lot of ways to get creative and leverage our community in doing so. And then I wanted to also share this with you, another article on help.startupgrind.com about how to, just different tips and tricks and pieces of advice. Lots of templates on there, if you aren't aware of that, for how to reach out to speakers and how to get creative about getting new ones to come to your events. Any questions on Slack, speakers, whatever? What's up, Eric? Okay. All right, guys, those are the main things that we wanted to cover with you this month. So now I will just turn it over to you. So any questions, any comments, any success stories that you want to share, or things that are going on in your regions, in your chapter, things that you're struggling with?
This is David. I have a question.
Yeah, sure do.
I'm curious what kind of experiences people have had that are doing workshops. So I've done one so far, and I have 2 more scheduled, but I'd be really interested to hear how that process is going for folks that are experimenting with it.
Has anybody else experimented with workshops over the past couple months? So this is something that we rolled out as kind of a test. We're testing it right now. I think we rolled it out in August, and this is our last month, the last month or 2 that we're testing it. We wanted to kind of do the lean startup methodology. So before, something that we've gotten a lot of requests for from our directors in the past. And we said, well, let's try it and see what people are running into, what's working, what's not, before we provide some guidelines or best practices for you guys. So David has been one of our early volunteers to test it out. So I guess, David, it'd be great to hear from you of what your experience has been, what you did, and how it worked in,
Sure.
60 seconds-ish.
So at this point, I've only done 1, and I have 2 more scheduled. But the format that I'm using is picking some function that is important to a startup, and then sending out a questionnaire beforehand to get some engagement and make the experience more interactive than a fireside chat, and then getting some vendor partner in to be the subject matter expert on the topic. So the first one we did was on blockchain, and we did an analysis of companies to see where they could use blockchain. So they would give their company profile, and we had a panel of blockchain people from a local blockchain group talk about that. The second one we're doing is on SEO, and companies that submit get basically a competitive report from the vendor partner. It's been pretty good for me for actually sponsorship conversations, because the folks that participate in the workshops are happy to touch the community. So I have 1 sponsorship deal out of it already.
Nice.
And the third one I'm doing is on HR. So I have a couple of HR professionals, and it's on what's the inflection point where you hire your internal HR manager, and what do you do until that point, and how do you tell when you're at that point? So it's still early days, and I'm trying to figure out how to price it compared to the fireside chat, and but I'm really trying to get it to be quite different in experience. And so I'm doing this model where you fill out the survey and you get a profile. You can just come as a lurker, you get less, to try to drive up engagement in the process. And I think I'll keep doing them.
Nice. Very cool. So I'll share that with the community team as well, because we are looking now for feedback from all of the chapters that tried that. And there wasn't a ton of groups that tried that around the world, just a handful. So we will be giving some guidelines on that the start of next year, maybe probably after the global conference, of like, here's some best practices, and learning from what your experience was, David, as well as our other chapters around the world will be hugely informative for that.
Well,
Yeah.
I would like to share.
Yeah, Moro, what's up?
Okay. Well, our first event was last month. It was with the Blockchain month. And it was kind of hard to get a speaker with that experience, but we finally made it. And it was a huge success with a lot of people attending to the fireside chat. But then we were looking for a second speaker. The people that attend the previous event was asking what would be the next theme, and we were, well, there's actually not a theme for the next event, so we came up with a theme for ourselves. We will be talking about drop shipping, the e-commerce model, and people were really interested to hear about the dropshipping. Is a success story from a young entrepreneur. He's 19 and he's building a big success e-commerce sites, and he's gonna share his experience. So I think it's a nice way to attract attendees. When you don't have like a big name speaker, you can promote the topic, and it's someone sharing an experience in that topic. I mean, it has worked very well for us.
Nice. I mean, so many people don't know how to do drop shipping, like where to even begin. So I think that's a brilliant one. Eric, I know you guys, if you don't mind hopping in real quick, I know you and your team, you guys have been lining up some themes for yourselves over the rest of 2018. Do you want to share any of those with everybody? I think you're muted though. Hold on. There you go.
I'm sorry, I missed that last part.
So we're talking about themes, monthly themes, and I know that you and your co-director, Drew, you guys had been laying out some themes for the rest of the year.
Right.
So maybe just share what some of those ideas were that you guys have been rolling out in Lexington.
Yeah. So for next month, we're actually looking at showcasing some kind of relating it to Halloween and having some horror stories. So we want people to share, the ups and downs, but we want to, learn from people's mistakes. So we're going to have a panel of people to talk about some of their biggest failures, as opposed to everyone talking about their great successes. So we're going to do that, and then we're working on another party event. We're actually partnering up with another team. I don't know if you're familiar with LinkedIn Local. They're actually starting to take off in a lot of different cities, and they've been attracting a lot of people. So we're actually going to combine forces with a party with them, and we want to have a lot of different networking, games and activities, and just really trying to just connect the people within our community, and sharing stories on stage and stuff like that.
Cool. And I know that you guys were doing one for Thanksgiving. So in the US, you guys know Thanksgiving is really big in November, and kind of like how to get people to what they can be grateful for, focusing on the good things that are going on. We're thinking about bringing somebody in Dayton for Thanksgiving theme about, so many times we always talk about the hustle and the grind as like you have to give up your health and your family and your life if you really want to make your business succeed, and trying to change that narrative with entrepreneurs and startups to say, how can we also focus on self-care and balance, even as we're trying to make our ventures and our dreams happen. So as you can see, there's so many different ways that, themes can be broken down. So get creative. The point is to get creative about what resonates with you, what resonates with your community. Any other questions from you guys, or things that you want to share? Roadblocks you're running into? The next speaker you're super excited about? What's up, Gregory?
I've written you an email about my roadblock, but other than that, we have a big Twin Cities Startup Week, which is coming, so I'm trying to integrate the Startup Grind event this coming month in October with that, which is like a citywide event. with all kinds of startups. So
Yeah.
that's how I'm integrating it this month in October. But yeah,
Awesome.
my little bottleneck. I wrote you an email. So
I haven't seen your email yet, but
all
I'll
right.
take a look at
All
that.
good. It's great seeing all you fantastic directors online, by the way.
Oh
Greeting
yeah,
from
wait.
Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Guys, I always forget to do this. Can everybody, just before I forget, smile? Just look beautiful. That's it. Keep it. Hold on. Hold it there. Keep those beautiful faces. Okay, ready? That's awesome. That's so great. Okay. Beautiful. Okay, Jason from Boston's in the house. Very nice. Chris, I saw your hand up like 2 times. Are you sure you don't have something you want to share?
No, only once. The other 2 times I was waving at other people who were joining.
Gotcha.
But that's okay. My question was answered.
Okay, perfect. Perfect. The picture, guys. Wait till I send it to you. It's so great. Okay, well, Bruce, what am I forgetting? What else should they know about we haven't talked about?
We've got our monthly newsletter coming out in the next couple of days, so keep an eye out for that. Anything that we would have forgotten will definitely be in that newsletter. But otherwise, I mean, as you know, we're focusing massively on growth and also focusing on global, because we want to make this the best global ever. So as is every global. But we definitely keep an eye out, because as Candace said, we're going to get that survey out to you guys shortly. There are a few questions, but it's all basically to help guide you as to, exactly what you need to know for the conference. And yeah, it should be the biggest, greatest conference ever
in the history of mankind. Yeah. Mauro, what's up?
I was wondering about the November thing will be the Entrepreneurial Week.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't read like the specific on the Entrepreneurial Week, but we're planning to talk about, here we're talking about Economía Naranja, like orange economy. And it's the incentive that the Banco Mundial, the Global Bank,
Mm-hmm.
the World Bank is giving to countries in Latin America to incentive the social and artistic entrepreneurship. And I don't know if that aligned with the Entrepreneurial Week on November, or it is completely free.
It's completely free. The whole goal is just that our community participates in that week. So there's a ton of different organizations that will be doing events that week all around the world. And we would, we're just trying to have Startup Grind, all of our chapters participate in that as well. So in terms of what your theme is, it's whatever you would like works.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
The great thing about Global Entrepreneurship Week, though, is that because Startup Grind is a partner, like we're listed on their website. So we tend to find a lot of people who normally don't know about Startup Grind discovering it through Global Entrepreneurship Week. Okay. That's why we try and host events during that week, because as we said, there's people that never knew about us, suddenly see us on the website, and they start looking for events in their local communities. So it's more of a strategic partnership to get the word out there. The theme itself can be whatever you'd like it to be.
I got it.
Jacob?
I don't not necessarily have a question, but more of a humble brag. So in the past probably 3 or 4 months, we've actually had our local university startup, the Startup Grind U, and then Lincoln, Nebraska. I've been working with them on a conference I just hosted last week, and they just started a Startup Grind X chapter. Yeah. And, just as long as I continue to keep putting it in my personal email subject line, I mean, my signature line, I'm saying, hey, join me at Startup Grind if I email somebody from my personal email. And that spurred so many more conversations, and it's gotten a few chapters launched here in the Midwest. And so that's just been really cool to see that community grow. And here within Kansas in the middle of the United States, there's not a lot of Startup Grind chapters. And so it's starting to really pick up a little bit just by, small little touch points like that. So it's been really cool to see that by just small things like putting it in the signature line.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's a great hack right there. Thank you for doing that. Chris, I see your hand up too.
Yeah, I did remember what I wanted to, and I'm going to do some humble bragging as well. And by the way, Candace, thank you for your work on the Frederick chapter, but I'm thrilled to announce that we are now going to have 3 chapters in Maryland. I'm going to be co-director of a new chapter in Frederick, Maryland, which is about 40 miles away, and we're in the planning stages to launch in the end of October. And I'm working with 3 other locations within the state of Maryland to put chapters there over the next 12 months, so that my big, wild, hairy butt goal is to have 5 chapters in our area in mid-Maryland by the end of the next year.
Woo! Round of applause for Chris. Round of applause for Jake. It's awesome. Because you guys know that we are in this massive growth mode. So Yella, Bruce, Farine, G, and I, we are just really trying to hit 600 chapters. Right now, I believe we're at 480, which is great. We are onboarding new chapters in a week in what Startup Grind used to do in a month. So really, really busy in doing that. But we still have like 120 to go to hit our mark. So anything you can do, and I love the tip that you had, Jake, of like putting it on your signature line or spreading the news with people that you think that that are in your personal network, professional network, that are in a different city where there's not a Startup Grind chapter. Anything that you guys can do to help us there would be enormously appreciated. We had a webinar last week, or maybe it was 2 weeks ago, and some of you helped spread the word on that. Thank you so much. We had 35 people attend. 35 RSVP'd, 16 attended, and 9 have converted to chapter directors. So that's a 56% conversion rate. We're super pumped about that. And we're going to have 2 upcoming webinars again for later time zones. This one is really focused on the Americas. The others will be on, trying to hit Asia Pacific, and then one for Europe and the Middle East and Africa. So all that will be coming out by October 9th and October 10th for those. And yes, you can be directors for more than one chapter if you've been crushing it for a while. So that is something that we don't just open up to newbies. We really need to see that you've been a long-time chapter director, that you're consistently having events month over month, that you're really building that community. And then once we see that for 6 months, 9 months, a year, then the option to hold multiple chapters becomes an option. But right away for the newbies, we want you to focus on getting your chapters healthy and running first.
And as with Chris as well, you don't have to necessarily be the director for all the chapters. You can also be a co-director. So if you find someone who you can mentor, you can join as a co-director and provide them with the kind of knowledge and support that they need, but have someone else actually run it. Because obviously, we're all busy, and to try run one chapter is a full-time job. To do, multiple is even harder. So you can also look at becoming a co-director if that, could work.
Great point.
That would apply also for co-director to wait if you run healthily the actual chapter you run.
So like what Bruce was saying is, if you wanted to open up a chapter sooner, if you just started, like Mauro, you started maybe 2 months ago, right?
Yeah, newbie.
You're a newbie, but it's good. Nothing wrong with newbies. We all got to start somewhere. So maybe you could open up another second chapter at a university or something like that in Barranquilla, in 9 months. Or if you have somebody else that's going to open up that chapter, you could be a co-director or a team member,
that would be more my
person, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. That would work.
We realize that, a lot of work goes into these events, and you guys do an extremely good job, and it's not an easy job. So, at the same time, we try and protect you from yourselves, because we don't want you guys to kill yourselves either, because then there is no Startup Grind if we're all dead because we work too hard. So just bear that in mind.
Guys,
while you hear the coffee brewing, I just wanted
technical difficulties and I can't hear anything.
yeah, so some of us made it past a year, so it'd be like a shout out from Derek or somebody.
One thing to note, as you mentioned, Derek has been kind of silent of late. We're actually talking about hosting a Q&A session with Derek on Reddit sometime soon, so keep an eye out for that. Basically, we realize he's been too quiet. We need to get him back involved. So thank you for bringing that up. We are aware. We made sure he's aware, and we are getting him back involved. So keep an eye out for the newsletters and stuff. We'll definitely be doing a lot more with Derek. And I mean, I know you guys in America, we're trying to get him out to the regional conferences as well. So we're thinking of maybe trying to get him out to Australia and that. So we obviously all miss Derek, and we're hoping to see more of him.
Yeah, it's going to be an Ask Me Anything. Ask me anything.
Can I ask you a question? Another one?
Yeah.
I don't know if you hear me. Hear me?
Yes.
So, and what things are you gonna? Maybe we should start thinking of cool, like, fun ways of incentivizing directors, because we're all given our free time, and some of us have been here for a year. I've just made my year mark, and it'd be kind of cool to, if Startup Grind would do something really cool, you know, for those people who continue going on for years or forever. Because we're given a lot of time and effort just to make this baby work. So it's kind of cool to think of some cool, like, little fun things to do when people make that year mark, or make half a year or 2 years. Just much.
What would you like to see? Any ideas?
I accept auto cars, you know, free Porsche or something like that. That'd be great.
Yeah.
No, I mean, just something like a shout out. No, like a simple shout out, maybe from Derek saying, "Hey man, great job here," you know, or hey, you, great, wonderful that you made it to the 1 year mark, or, you know, send it in a newsletter. You've got a newsletter now. Maybe we start doing that as a shout out. Hey, this person made it to the year mark. Happy to have you on board. Keep going with the grind, etc. Just think of, like, small, unique things just to represent people that are actually given their free time. So not necessarily
also,
myself.
Don't forget that we have our awards ceremony as part of the Director Summit. So one of the things we do at Global as well is, you know, we look at all of our directors across all of our chapters and look for milestones, as well as, you know, who's the best dressed and all those other things. And we do have an awards ceremony that we do have at the summit. So normally we do try and kind of keep all of our big kind of thank yous and gifts and stuff for that event. But I think you're right. We should definitely, we've got the newsletter now. We should utilize it to kind of spread the love. One thing we also did, I don't know if you guys remember, a couple of months ago, we sent out that form and asked you to submit your, like, quotes and headshots and social media and stuff like that. One of the plans we do have, and our design team's looking at it, is to actually create branded kind of like quote, like cool graphics that, you know, we can start sharing on our social media platforms, on our global platforms. Also have them, you know, put up at Global and stuff like that to show you guys some love for all the work that you do. That's why we set up that form. So there are a lot of cool ideas that we are busy playing with to show you guys some love, because after all, without you, there would be no Startup Grind. So yeah, thank you for mentioning that. We'll definitely look at the newsletter, and there is some cool stuff on its way, I promise you.
One other thing to add to that, and we just launched this a few months ago. I think, Mauro, you were in one of our first cohorts. So anybody that was onboarded in a single month, that kind of becomes their star sign, if you will. And all the people in that star sign then have an initial orientation cohort call the following month. So if you were onboarded in August, we now have an orientation cohort call in September for all of those people, so that they can start developing relationships with one another, with people that are just starting out like them, ask any questions they have early on. But we want to have that kind of be something that we go out and go back to all of our 400 and however many chapter directors and co-directors, because there's a lot of us, and say, okay, Pablo, he's been an SG veteran for the past 5 years. He joined in May of 2013. We haven't forgotten that. You know, all of our May, I don't know if it was May, Pablo, I'm making that up, but I bet you remember. You know, have something.
Yeah, no, it was 2012, August.
See, there you go. August 2000.
So you took out of me like a year. It's fine.
So do something with those months. But I like what you're saying, Gregory, is that we could do more on a regular basis to highlight all the amazing people in our community. So thank you for that. All right, guys, we have 6 more minutes. Anything else you want to highlight or cover or ask? All right. Well, that's it for now. You'll get a newsletter from us for all of our directors next week, and anything we for today will be in there. Otherwise, we'll see you next month. All right.
Take care.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for being here.
Bye, guys.
Thanks much, Candace. Keep up the awesome rock
Thank
solid.
you.
Bye-bye.
It's a pleasure to see you always.
You
Bye,
too.
everybody.
See you, Rocio.
See ya.
Bye, guys.